Hey, what up everyone? Welcome back to another video. If you watch any of our previous parts, you'll probably notice that the car does look pretty similar to the way that it looked in the last part. We installed the Yashio factory aero and the Advan RG wheels, but it has gone through a bit of a transformation since then. What we had done was we had installed a full livery, which was like a glitter style livery. We had debuted that at our first ever pop-up shop. We attended a bunch of events. We did a few photo shoots, and it was finally time for a refresh. So what we did was we had removed the full livery and cut and polished the whole car just to get that 25-year-old paint to shine. So in this video, what we're going to be doing is running through all the way from the start, from when we first designed the livery, the inspiration, the materials used, everything, all the way to attending a bunch of events, and then also removing the livery, cut and polishing the car, and then what we're about to jump into now is installing the new livery. So I hope you all enjoy the video, and let's see how we go. Before we jump into that, let's rewind a little bit. As a graphic designer, drift car liveries have always been a huge part of my love for the 2000s Japanese car style. There's an art to the organised chaos. Logos that look randomly placed but are actually carefully arranged to flow with the car's body lines. A well thought out livery can completely change how a car is perceived. The choice of materials plays a big role too. Chrome, flat, glitter or metallic vinyl can give a car a totally different presence, whether it's a full-on D1 GP competition drift car or something more low-key for the streets. A lot of the most iconic drift cars in the late 90s and 2000s had liveries that weren't just flashy but told a story. You could tell where a car was from, who built it, and even what style of driving it was known for, just by looking at the stickers. Teams had their own way of laying out graphics, sometimes with almost DIY feel, hand-cut vinyl, overlapping sponsor logos, little details you wouldn't even notice until you look closely. But even with the rawness, there was always a sense of balance. For the Silvia, I wanted to stay true to that era while making sure the livery matched the car's overall theme. The idea was to always keep it in that unmistakable 2000s Kanto style. If you're not familiar, Kanto is a region that covers the area around Tokyo, places like Chiba, Gunma, Ibaraki, Kanagawa, Saitama, Tochigi, and of course Tokyo itself. A lot of the legendary street and competition drift cars came out of Kanto, and since most of the parts on this build came from there, keeping the livery in line with that just made sense. Keeping the car true to Kanto style meant looking at the cars that defined that era. A big part of that inspiration came from some of the most memorable machines to come out of that region. Tanaka-san's Team Orange S15, Mikami-san's Green 3-Up 180SX, the Tex Modify S13 Silvia, and Sunega-san's S13 Silvia, just to name a few. These cars all had different styles, different setups, and even different approaches to drifting, but there was one common denominator: they all ran glitter liveries. That detail has always stuck with me. Ever since I was young, I've always been drawn to the way glitter vinyl shifts and flashes in the light. When a car swings sideways, the sun catches it just right, and suddenly the whole livery comes alive. That effect has always excited me, and I knew from the start that it was something I wanted to pay homage to with this build. For me, it's all about the small details, those little things that really capture the essence of the golden era. When designing the livery, one of the biggest priorities was making sure every element felt authentic. That meant researching and using only period correct logos for the stickers, nothing newer than 2006. After weeks of trying different configurations, I finally landed on the overall design. Using metallic backing for the base graphics and a glitter vinyl for the logos, it felt like the right balance, keeping that depth of reflectiveness of the era while letting the logo stickers pop in the light, just like the cars that inspired me. With just a few days before we were going to reveal the car at the first ever pop-up shop, we decided to tackle the livery at 11 PM. Equipped with a bunch of squeegees, a floodlight, and a spray bottle, we got to work. All that work had finally paid off. The car was ready and on display, ready to be revealed at our first ever pop-up shop, where we launched our merch along with our online store, Sokudo General Store. I was pretty happy with the way the car turned out, the sticker layout, the aero, wheels, and the way it sat, exactly how I imagined. Pretty crazy that so many years planning, it was finally on display. Another little detail I wanted to add to the S15 was I wanted to change the end plates of the GT wing. The ARC plates are pretty cool, but I wanted something a little bit more exciting. So what I did was I went to my folder of inspiration, dug through all the ones that I liked, and then I started designing. With a bunch of trial and error, and cutting them out of cardboard, placing them onto the wing, we finally found the shape that we wanted, and we ended up getting it made out of carbon fibre. I went on to attend a bunch of car meets in the car. It's really interesting driving the car with a glitter livery. Even people who aren't into cars just stare at it. For the most part, they give you the thumbs up and it's perceived positively. I also organised the first ever garage Sokudo car meet. We called it the Twilight Underpass meet, and surprisingly a lot of really cool cars turned up. I know how hard it can be these days with police, but I really appreciate everyone coming down. It's really cool to meet so many people and some amazing photos were taken. You can check them out here. It's finally time for the new livery preparation. This was such a daunting task. I was so paranoid, so many sleepless nights that I thought my paint was going to come off as I peel the stickers off, because maybe the paint didn't cure properly when I painted my fenders or bumper, but I was surprised to see that it was perfectly fine. I really picked a good day to do this. It was about 40 degrees outside in Melbourne and it was so hot, but with a few hours put in, we finally got all the decals off. Enjoy a time lapse of me removing everything. My friend Hal was nice enough to let me do this at his warehouse. While I was there, I thought I might remove my GT wing and replace my boot lid with my OEM Center Delete wing, just to make that drive home a little bit easier. Also the fact that the boot lid had been sitting there for a while and did need a little bit of a polish, so I might as well do it when I do the whole car. Replacing a boot lid is literally so easy. It's 4 10mm bolts, but the problem is lining it up to get it perfect is really hard. After removing all the decals, what we did was we gave the car a complete wash and got rid of all the residue, making sure that there was nothing left behind. We fully clay barred the whole car and made sure that there was absolutely nothing left on the paint and to get it ready for polish. Surprisingly, after the clay bar, the car actually did look so good, and I was happy with this, but Hal insisted that we polish it. Let's get the car out of the sun, into the shade, and start polishing. As I previously said, I have no idea about washing, detailing, or polishing cars, so Hal was kind enough to get the ball rolling and teach me some of the basics. After a few solid hours of polishing, we finally got the car to shine. We got that 25-year-old paint to really pop, and now I can safely say that it's ready to be graffitied with even more stickers. If you had previously seen the car, you know the hood did not look like this. With the version 2 of the livery, I knew there was 2 things I wanted to incorporate. Number 1 was a flag design, and number 2 was I wanted my logo dead center in the middle of the door. The flag design was quite popular among drift cars in the 2000s. It was used on some cars such as Tanaka-san's S15, Haraguchi-san's FC3S and Takayama-san's FC, among many others. The central door logo was also popular in the 2000s, as you can see here in the D1 Garage 180SX and S14.5. This is the design I came up with. It features most of the same logos with a few removed and a few added, and running with gold chrome for the logos. This design had no overlapping vinyl, aside from the flag, which had a gold chrome base just like the logos, but a chrome offset top layer, making it gold chrome look like a shadow. I called some of my friends over to help install the new livery. Some of them aren't really car guys, so this was a first for them. The weather was horrible as per usual, but this time blowing a gale. It made it very difficult to stick down and hold, but with many hands we managed to do so. While I was holding the vinyl, my friends were there with the squeegees, just making sure that it all went flat on. And for the most part it did. There were a few air bubbles, but what can you do? You have to remember that when you're designing a livery, the driver's side, or the right hand side, should always be inverted. A good way to remember this is when logos are italicized, they tilt to the right, and that should always flow with the direction of the car. I sent all the boys an image on their phones of the layout with all the logos, and it made it really easy to reference what goes where. We attach them with masking tape before peeling them and sticking them down. It was all starting to come together and look really cool. Once again inspired by Tanaka-san's S15, I noticed that he always used to run a glitter banner when he wasn't running the D1 GP banner. I had some spare cracked glass chrome vinyl, so I thought I might cut it up and make a banner. Here I had Carl carefully cutting the rest of the vinyl out. Pretty stoked with the finished product. And of course, removing the center delete boot lid and putting on the ARC GT wing again.
Behind you. Oh. Commentary on this video would be
What a long day of applying so many decals in ridiculously windy weather. Glad it's finally done and happy we don't have to redo anything. That's always a win. Last piece of the puzzle was to put this 3-up window decal on. This is one of the old 3-up logos, and a lot of the crew and friends would run this sticker in this exact position. The cracked glass and glitter really does look so cool in the sun. We got invited to have the Silvia on display and exhibit our brand at Black Label Invitational car show here in Melbourne. Up early on a Sunday morning, loaded and ready to reveal the new livery once again. For anyone with a keen eye, you'll notice I had a set of old white-faced Defi gauges installed, but they're not moving. This is because in all the rush to prepare the car for the car show, I didn't manage to install the sensors, just the control unit and the meters. But don't worry, I'm onto that ASAP. The event was held at the Melbourne Convention Centre. Pretty cool to be back here nearly 20 years later after exhibiting in Melbourne Auto Salon in 2005. before the doors were open to the public, I managed to get some walk around footage of the car. It really humbles me that someone would think that this car is show worthy and would invite me to an event like this. I want to give a shout out to my friend Mitch from No Figures. He gifted me this awesome illuminated license plate. We had a bunch of things for sale, including Hyper-Rev and Garage Life magazines, Nobori flags, Toyo steel toolboxes, and a whole bunch of stickers and decals. We also had a full collection of clothing, including hoodies, tees, and jackets. If you like the brand or channel and want to support, purchasing from our online store would mean the world to us. Oh yeah, we also had a bunch of Boss coffee for sale as well. I didn't get much free time, but when I did, I managed to go for a quick walk around and snap a few shots. There were truly some amazing cars on display, and a bunch of them were really my style. The event was actually really good. It was awesome to see so many new people and also reconnect with old friends from back in the nissansilvia.com forum days. Crazy to think how many years have passed. So that's all for this video. I appreciate you getting this far. Editing this, I learned how important it is to always film everything I do with the car. Sometimes it gets so hard, but I really want to document this for you all. If you like what we're doing, please feel free to subscribe, and as mentioned earlier, supporting us by buying any merch from our online store really means a lot and can allow us to keep making cool things. Once again, thank you so much, and I can't wait to show you all what's to come.